joining us right now. The news at 10 is a professor of political science at the Nasarawa State University, Professor Jide Ofor-Adibe, to look at politics in the last 8 years under President Muhammadu Buhari. Welcome to the news at 10. Professor, although President Buhari had contested for 3 times before eventually winning in 2015, there are those who say the president is not a typical politician. How would you assess him, in terms of his handling of politics, policy, and governance in the past years?
Yeah, hello. Thank you very much. I don't know what it means to be a typical politician. Somebody who ran consistently for office over 12 years, you cannot say the person is not a typical politician. Yes, he came in as with a military background, but he was still a politician. He came in as an austere man, and with the kind of image he caught during his first coming as a military president. People were expecting something very different. People were expecting, somebody who would take the fight to insurgents, to the Boko Haram. And people were expecting to see somebody who would do something differently, especially given the kind of, mass support, cult followership he had, especially in the northern part of the country.
In terms of what some would say are some of the omissions you think the president committed, and that would also be speaking politically. What are those omissions for you that may have shaped some of the decisions and policies of his administration?
Well, the first for me is a complete mismanagement of the herdsmen crisis. Because he treated them with kid gloves. What then happened that you had non-state actors like Nnamdi Kanu and Sunday Igboho moving in to promise people, that they will protect them from the onslaught of the herdsmen. And then, as you know, when you empower non-state actors, it doesn't always go well. Because first they will take the violence to certain targets, and then they will turn the violence eventually to the populace. So I think that was a major failure on his part. The second one is that also he completely mismanaged the country's diversity. In the beginning, when he was talking about 97.5%, never mind that he doesn't add 100% and then dot on a circle, and overtly favored Muslim people from Muslim North in appointments. Some people have argued that it might be deliberate because a substratum of his support base were, those who believed he was coming to bring back the assumed lost glory of the North. So each time he was accused of nepotism, of favoring a particular group, such accusations tends to valorize that base. So I think he didn't go very well. But as time went on, I think he got better in terms of, favoring a particular group in the country. So in terms of what he did right in governance circles, I think also he was able to use personal diplomacy to get a number of choice positions in very prominent institutions for Nigerians. If you look at Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala at WTO, Amina Mohammed as Deputy Secretary of the UN, Dr. Okel Rama in Afri-Exim Bank, Dr. Adeshina in African Development Bank, and so on and so forth. I think he did his best there. He was also able to, manage the passage of a number of important bills like the 2022 Electoral Amendment Act. I wished he was an empathic leader. He was emotionally distant from Nigerians. And there were several centers of power in his government, and they all seem to be working at cross purposes. I would also like to say that nobody can be in office for 8 years without recording some successes or major disappointments, even by the law of unintended consequences.
The president famously said during his swearing in 8 years ago that he is for nobody and for everybody. How well would you say, he's justified that statement?
Well, people don't really know what that means because some people have accused him of plagiarizing that from Charles de Gaulle's speech. But the general assumption was that he meant that, well, even he was supposed to be there for everyone. But we do know, as I said earlier, that, there were people he regarded as a dot in a circle. And, sometimes, yes, he built the second Niger bridge, for which people will always remember him in the southeast. But at least for now, people tend to relate more to people, not just by what they get from you, but how they feel you treated them. It is in that realm of feelings towards him, because he was emotionally distant from so many Nigerians. That feeling towards him, this inability to show empathy. For example, if there is a natural disaster, you expect to see a president on the spot, giving support, emotional support and condolences. Because he was not that type of a person, he was emotionally distant, whereas on a whim, he will fly out. People tend to, not really relate to him the way they will relate with others. Another thing is the kind of people he assembled in his, communication team. Adeshina and Garuba Shehu are my friends, but they were very cantankerous in the manner they tried to relate to the opposition. And they created this simplistic binary of those who they call the wellers, that is, those opposed to the Buhari government, and those they thought were supporting him. And one of the consequences is that when you pigeonhole people like that and you try to define them in a certain way, they push back, such that if you say never, they will also intensify their own nevertheless.
So quite a mixed bag there. We'd like to thank you, Professor Jide Ofor-Adibe, for joining us, your thoughts and insights on the news at 10 tonight.
Right, thank you very much.